Okay, so I didn't get to 3 yesterday. I got tired. So, everyone, welcome back to Jessica Jones Reviews. We are on episode 9, Sin Bin. Okay, another case of, wow, did all of that happen in one episode? A lot of shit happens here, so I'm not sure how much time I want to spend going into every little nitty-gritty bit of it. More just kind of what I did last time, to talk about as much as necessary. Yeah, if I'm gonna go through it. This is another case where you would really think by now the good guys would stop putting their villains in glass boxes and act surprised when shit goes bad. But this episode starts some good old-fashioned psychological torture as Kilgrave wakes up to find himself in the... I was gonna call it the drunk tank. That Samson set up for himself a couple episodes ago. But this one has his terrible childhood videos playing in the background. Just a good old psychological torture mixed with actual torture because the tank is full of like water that goes up to your ankle that could be electrified at will. So, very clever way to subdue an insane man like this. But I've talked about Kilgrave a lot in the past few episodes. I kind of want to shift gears a little bit because I feel like a lot about what I can say about this character has kind of already been said, and a lot of what there is new in this episode is kind of building off what was established in the previous episode, so not a whole lot to talk about there. Just very briefly going over what happens in this episode, Nuke officially becomes more Nuki, I guess, as he's taken to the hospital. He meets up with the doctor, gives him the pills from the comic books, like, one red to bring you up, 2 white to bring you even, and 1 blue to bring you down. He immediately ignores those rules and he takes like 3 red ones, but I guess it's the rage triggers. Nuke is not a character I'm intimately familiar with, so I did a Google search and that's kind of what I learned about it, but so I was like, I'm really curious to see where that goes. The big thing I want to talk about in this episode is something that it kind of occurred to me, because had to watch this episode twice, once for enjoyment, the other time to actually review it. Something kind of occurred to me the second time I was watching it, is that I'm kind of wondering why Jessica Jones, why she's keeping him alive. Aside from the obvious ethical issues, or why she's going through the lengths she's doing just to get Hope free. Because it's kind of curious to me, because I was thinking about it and I realized, like, Trish is saying, just leave him or kill him or do something. You can get away from him at this point. He's trapped. He can't get out. You can just leave and be okay. Samson said just kill him right away because he's too dangerous to let him be alive. And it's like, I'm thinking about him like, they're kind of right. Because at this point, the Purple Man has killed way more than just the people he has with Hope. So it's like, he has just in the series starting up alone. So I'm like, is this really is it really worth going through all this effort just to help Hope out? Which is a horrible thing to say, but at the same time, considering this kind of dangerous man he is, it's kind of hard not to say, maybe she is better off just taking the plea deal and then just killing Kilgrave so he can't hurt anyone else. You can get the logic there. So I'm wondering why Jessica Jones is doing this. Because maybe we'll explain the next couple episodes, I don't know. But, because I feel like it's not just for Hope. And it kind of made me think about kind of like kind of hero she is as a character. And it makes me wonder is she doing it because she wants redemption? Is she doing it because it's the right thing to do? Why exactly is she doing this? Because it has been established in previous episodes that she did like helping people. She did like feeling like making a difference. But is keeping him alive gonna keep making a difference? Or, like, what's the real motivation here? Because it's clearly not revenge, because if it was revenge, that he'd be dead already. That being said, she does clearly enjoy torturing the shit out of him. So is it just to help Hope out, or is there something more? Or is it because she wants to help out another victim like her? Like, that's probably the best explanation I can come off the top of my head. So I'm really curious to see where that's going, or if there is more to it. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but I feel like there's more layers here than what's being led on so far, and I'm really curious to see if they'll dive into that. Other than that, like, I get why Trish is there. Trish is there because she is her motivation is more clear-cut in that she does want to make a difference. She wants to be a superhero, but doesn't quite have the skills to be that yet, so she wants to help out any way she can. That's why she's willing to go through the lengths she is. Samson's kind of just, at this point, it's kind of an aggressive nut job, and I'm kind of curious to see to what escalation they'll bring that in the next few episodes. I mean, they've been hinting at Nuke for a while. Like, I think even in the beginning of this episode, and I don't know if it's foreshadowing, I don't know if this was intentional. I feel like it was intentional, though, because the lines they had there, I felt like were too intentional not to be. Like, looked too similar not to be an intentional Easter egg or foreshadowing, because the blood shots he has after the last episode when the old lady exploded, you see like his two just red streaks of blood like above and below his eyes, and they kind of look like, and that's why I'm not sure it's an intentional Easter egg or not, but they kind of look like they're foreshadowing the full red, white, and blue American flag plastered on his face in the comic books. I feel like it's an homage, but again, I'm kind of guessing there. But other than that, like I said, just a lot of fucking shit happens in this episode. You have the detective comes back. He has this whole thing about basically knowing that Kilgrave is out there, but not being able to do anything about it without evidence. So just because has to go find evidence. Meanwhile, Kilgrave was trying to manipulate everyone to let him go, because putting your villain in a plexiglass prison is never a good fucking idea. But then they find out, they find out who Kilgrave's parents were, and then they find him, and they bring him back, and then Kilgrave kills them, gets the mom to kill herself, and then almost gets the dad to kill herself. Then Trish almost kills herself because of Kilgrave escapes, because of course he's going to. And the detective runs off with him, and then the big reveal at the end of the episode, where Jessica Jones learns that Kilgrave can't control her anymore. Now that leads to another big question I have too for this episode too, and I think it'll probably be addressed in the next few episodes, I'm sure, because we're down to 4 left. But did Kilgrave already know that Jessica Jones is no longer under her influence? Because they flash back to the bus crash when it showed Jessica Jones clearly, what's what I'm looking for? Clearly ignored his orders during that incident. So did he know that she was no longer under his control, or did he write that off as a fluke? Because if he knew it from the beginning, that adds a lot of questions of motivation. Honestly, it would be kind of a disappointment. Because I like the idea that he's trying to convince her to fall in love with him through natural means, because he wants to earn it. But if it's just because he secretly knows that he can't control her anymore, and he doesn't want her to find that out, I don't know, I feel like that'd be a bit of a letdown, but I don't think that's what it is, because Kilgrave does try to order her to let him go when he tries to escape, and Kilgrave gets the fucking shit kicked out of him this episode, which on one hand it's like, oh, that's really brutal and very unethical, and on the other hand it's like, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. So I don't know, everyone's like, I'm not usually pro-torture, but in this case, I might make an exception. That's largely in part because David Tennant is such a good damn performer. He does such a phenomenal job. But again, I don't want to talk too much about Kilgrave because I've already talked plenty about him in previous episodes. But so it's like, and then like that kind of turns it to an interesting shift in power. And I've talked a lot about how these episodes have kind of related to the metaphor of the abusive relationship, and this one kind of does. Although I would say to a lesser extent, more just that how the victim eventually the abuser no longer has any control of the victim, and then the victim has all the power. And the abuser knows this, and I'm really curious to see how Kilgrave's going to respond to that, because and that leads back to what I was going to say before, which is when Jessica Jones grabbed him and he ordered her to let her go, he looked just as surprised as she did when that didn't work. So I don't think he actually knew what was going on. I think I don't know, like, I'm not sure exactly how this happened. I'd like to think just because she's grown as much as a person, and it's just he just has no power of her anymore. I like that idea. I'm sure they'll have a better one for me, but yeah, like, really good episode. A lot of shit happens. A lot of this feels like it's just keeping the story going. But at the same time, the pacing does feel very well balanced here, like way more than it should. Like, I was surprised how little of this episode felt rushed. Like, it really does, like, even though there's a lot of here, it still feels surprisingly like it takes its time. I also liked, it finally feels like Hogarth's storyline. She's another character I want to talk about for a bit, too, because I've kind of dismissed her in the past few episodes, too. Even though they keep bringing up her divorce, like, storyline in every fucking episode. I finally feel like that's coming to a head, like it's actually gonna go somewhere. But I think and I was thinking about this more the second time I watched the episode too, is the fact that I feel like there is a nice parallel between between her and Kilgrave, in that how Kilgrave is used to having all the power and lost it, while Hogarth has very much done the exact same thing, but through different means. She's just a really good fucking lawyer. But in this case, Jessica Jones, over the course of this season, has slowly kind of taken her power away too, and she's not responding well to that. And I'm wondering where they're going with this, because I know they're going somewhere. I'm not sure where yet, but this has to be going somewhere, because they put such a huge emphasis on it. Is she going to team up with Kilgrave, because it looks like that's what she was going to do by the end of the episode? Are they going to make it to a bad guy? Like, are they going to turn to a villain of some kind? Because I feel this kind of has the making of a supervillain origin to it. Same goes for Nuke. Like, I'm only kind of now realizing how a lot of the season was just set up as a Nuke origin story. Although I really should have seen that coming. I take that back. I kind of saw hints, but for some reason it didn't enter too much of my brain space. But I like the dynamic there. I like how you can just tell she's getting more and more not necessarily fragile, but more irritable and probably more reckless as more and more power is taken away from her and given to everyone else around her. It's given to her ex, given to her current fiance. It's given to Jessica Jones. Everyone is like slowly taking away her power from her, and she's not the kind of person that takes that lightly. So I'm really curious to see where that's gonna go. Overall, I'd say really good episode. A lot going on here. Again, these episodes just have a way of having a hell of a fucking cliffhanger. So I'm very excited to see what happens next, because now Kilgrave's on the run, and now he knows that Jessica Jones cannot be controlled by him anymore. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. In fact, I'm going to stop talking and go watch the next episode. Bye, guys.